Hello, my name is Keshwani. There's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for SAT. We have been solving SAT math problems out of this book here, the official SAT study guide. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 849. Please turn to it, please. 849, and today is our lesson number 112. 849. Problem number 7. It's important that you have the book in front of you. As I always remind you, you must read the problem yourself. Don't depend on my reading the problem to you. You must read it yourself. You must have the book in front of you. Solve the problem with me, as opposed to simply sitting there and watching it. A certain scale only registers weights that are greater than 6 pounds. All right. So we have a weighing machine that is incapable of registering anything under 6 pounds. A person who wants to know the weight of a puppy, a kitten, and a bunny weighs them in pair. All right. And he gets the following result. We are told that a kitten and a bunny weigh 7 pounds. Kitten and a bunny weigh 7 pounds. Kitten and puppy weigh 8 pounds. And finally, bunny and puppy weigh 9 pounds. The question simply is, what's the weight of the puppy? Now, as you can see here, we have 3 unknowns here. We have 3 unknowns, kitten, puppy, and the bunny, and we have 3 independent equations, which means it is quite possible to solve for all of these 3 variables. This simply wants us to solve for one, the weight of the puppy. So let's do it. Now, the problem here is that if we were to combine any 2 equations here, for example, we are interested in finding the weight of the puppy. So if you were to combine, there is no point looking at this equation because it doesn't even have puppy in it. These 2 equations, puppy appears. But the problem is that if we were to try to subtract one from the other, we will have puppy, but we'll end up with a new equation with 3 variables in it. We'll end up with b and a k and a p. So somehow we have to get rid of k from here so that we have 2 equations with b and p in it. So the thing to do here is to combine these 2 equations first so that we have an equation in terms of b and p. So let's subtract this equation from the first equation. K plus p equals 8. We're going to subtract the second equation from the first equation. Now the very first thing you should do, very first thing that I always do when I'm subtracting one equation from the other, is that the equation that you're subtracting, right from the very beginning, go through the entire equation and convert the sign. Convert all the positive to negatives and negatives to positive, because that's what happens when you subtract something. So this positive, when you subtract, it becomes negative. This positive becomes negative. This positive 8 is going to become negative. Now I just noticed a problem here. The problem that I notice is that once we do that, then we'll end up with positive 7 and a negative 8. We'll end up with a negative 1. I don't like dealing with negative numbers. So I'll change my mind. Instead of subtracting the second equation from the first equation, let's subtract the first equation from the second equation. So that we don't have to deal with the negative 1 situation here. Oops, I shouldn't have erased the equation itself. K plus b equals 7. So here's positive k becomes negative, positive b becomes negative b, and positive 7 is going to become negative 7. And now we're ready for business. Here we have positive k and a negative k that drop out, which was the whole point of subtracting one equation from the other. And now we have p, which is positive, minus a b. And 8 minus 7 equals 1. There you go. So that's our new equation in terms of b and p. Now we can add this equation to that equation, and you can see we have a negative b and a positive b. They're going to drop out if we add the 2 equations, and we'll have our puppy. So let's do that. So b plus p equals 9. B plus p equals 9. And if we were to add these 2 equations, negative b and a positive b will drop out, and p plus p will have 2p equals 10, which means puppy weighs 5 pounds. That's all. The weight of the puppy is 5 pounds. Let's do the next one, shall we? Now at this point, if you want, you can actually go back and verify everything. Put the p equal to 5 here, work on the other 2 equations, find the kitten and the and the bunny, and you can verify everything if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that right now. Number 8. In number 8 it says on a blueprint a 1/4 inch represents 16 feet. Alright, so 1/4 inch represents 16 feet. If the driveway is 40 feet long, what's the length in inches on the map? So if your driveway in front of your house is 40 feet long, on the blueprint, that 40 feet long driveway is going to show up as how many inches if 1/4 inch represents 16 feet. The simplest, easiest, the quickest way to take care of this problem is to set it up as a ratio problem, or rather proportion problem. Set it up as a proportion problem. So here we have our inches and our feet, and we know that 1/4 inch is 16 feet, and the question is, if we have a 40 feet long driveway, how many inches would that be? Cross multiply. So here we get 1/4 times 40. 1/4 times 40 equals 16 times x. 1/4 of 40 is 10, or you can do it like this. 10. So now we have 16x equals 10. Divide both sides by 16. We divide both sides by 16. We get rid of 16 here, and x equals 10 over 16, which is 10 is 558. There you go. That's all. So that's one way of doing it, which is a very conventional way, very traditional way, very orthodox way, very geeky, very nerdy way, very academic way. Here's another way. Here's another way of solving the same problem in a quick manner. I'm not sure if it's quick or not, but here's another way if you're interested. Let's say we're done. The answer is 5/8. Perhaps we can do the other way here. The thing to realize here is that they're looking for 40 feet. They're looking for 40 feet. Now this is only if it clicks. If it doesn't click, then of course don't worry about this second method. This is only for those people who are able to see it right away. I'm not even sure if I want to call it shortcut. It's just a different way. 40, we should realize, is made up of 16 plus 16 plus 8, which is the first hurdle. And if you don't see that, don't worry about what I'm about to say. Just stick with the conventional method. 16 plus 16, excuse me just one second. I'm still here. 16 plus 16 is 32. 16 plus 16 is 32. 32 plus 8 is 40. So what we find is that 40 equals 2.5 times 16. 2.5 times 16, and therefore the length of the driveway is going to be simply 2.5 times 1/4, because 16 feet shows up as 1/4 inches, and 40 is 2.5 times 16. So that's your answer. The answer is 2.5 times 1/4. 2.5 can be written as 5/2 times 1/4, which gives you our 5/8 that we found earlier. But like I said, this route is not for everybody. If you want to go through this, go through this route, it's up to you. But the other, as I said, the first method was very straightforward, very conventional method. Number 9. In number 9, we are told that in the XY coordinate system, P0, this point P0 is one of the points of intersection of the graph y equals to negative x squared plus 9 and y equals to positive x squared minus 9. The question is, if p is positive, what's the value of p? So they're telling us that the p, whatever it is a positive, because obviously they're talking about one of the points. This is one of the points where these two graphs intersect, which means there are more than one point. There are actually 2 points, because it's a quadratic equations. These are quadratic equations. We're going to have two solutions. So these two graphs are going to intersect each other at 2 different points, and apparently one of those points is where p is negative. But in our case, they tell us that the p is positive. We have to find that p. Now here's what's going on. Since this graph goes to this point and this graph goes to that point, which means the coordinate of these points must satisfy this equation and that equation. So that's what we're going to do. Coordinate of y is 0, so 0 equals x squared, the x coordinate is p, so it's negative p squared plus 9. And here again, coordinate of y is 0, which equals p squared minus 9. So since this quantity equals to 0 and this quantity equals to 0, which means these two quantities must equal each other. So which means negative p squared plus a 9 must equal positive p squared minus a 9. And we just have to solve for p. Add p squared to both sides. So negative p squared and a positive p squared will drop out. And then add 9 to both sides. And negative 9 and positive 9 will drop out. And what we find is that 2p squared equals 18. Technically, what I should have written is 18, 9 plus 9, 18 equals 2p squared, but it's easier to see it this way. That's it, we're almost done. Divide both sides by 2, and we find that p squared equals 9. Now, if the square root of some quantity equals 9, what this tells us is that p is equal to either positive 3 or negative 3. Because the square of positive 3 and negative 3 equals 9. So p must be either p is positive 3 or negative 3. Since we've been told from the very beginning that p is a positive quantity, p equals 3. The answer is A. Let's do the next one. Number 10. Number 10. The Smith Metal Company's old machine makes 300 bolts per hour. So we have an old machine that makes 300 per hour, and we are told that its new machine makes 450 per hour. If both machines begin running at the same time, how many minutes will it take the two machines to make a total of 900 bolts? A total of 900 bolts. How long? For 900 bolts. Well, listen, there are two ways we can go about this problem. Again, as always, one way is the conventional way, the traditional way, the orthodox way, the geeky way, the nerdy way, the academic way, the algebraic way, the proper way, and the other one is the quick and dirty way. In the quick and dirty way, what you have to realize here is that, listen carefully, what we have to realize here is that if these two machines are working together at the same time, in 1 hour, they will make 750. We want to make 900. Therefore, this symbol means therefore 900 should take a little more than an hour. It should take little more than an hour. Any answer choice that is ridiculously high and any answer choice that is ridiculously low should be crossed out at this point. And once we have done that, once you have narrowed down your answer choices to 2 or 3, then and then only you should begin your work. Because they have a lot of the times, a lot of things just drop out. Let's look at the answer choices. A says 36 minutes. Well, it's bloody well that's going to take 36 minutes because it takes an hour just to make 750. If it takes 1 hour to make 750, 900 is going to take more than an hour, obviously. It's not going to take 36 minutes. C says 120 minutes. Well, 120 minutes is 2 hours. 120 minutes is 2 hours. It's not going to take 2 hours. In 2 hours they're going to make twice as many bolts. In 2 hours they're going to make 750 times 2, which is 1500. 900 is going to take just a little over an hour. It's too big. C is too big. D is too big. It's 144. E is too big, for crying out loud. It's too big. It's too big. The answer is B. That's it, we're done. The answer is B. So this is the logical way. You do it intuitively, the problem. You do the problem intuitively. Ask yourself what's the logical scenario here, and it turns out that we got lucky here. Most of the times we are able to drop out only 2 or 3 answer choices. Here we got lucky. 4 of them drop out, and we are left with only the winner. So we don't have to do anything. The answer is 72. It's the only one. It's the only one that has to be. It cannot be 2 hours. In 2 hours, they're going to make 1,500 boards. It cannot be less than an hour. In less than an hour, they're not even going to make 750. We need to make 900. Now, if you insist, and only if you're hell-bent on it, we'll do it the proper way. As I said, only if you're hell-bent. Okay? Here's the proper way. In the proper way, we set it up as a proportion problem. So here are our boards, and here's the time. And we know that 750 boards take 60 minutes. The question is, how long for 900 boards? Cross multiply. So we get 60 times 900 equals 750 times x. But you understand, all of this is unnecessary. All of this in the real exam would be a sheer waste of time. Divide both sides by 10. If you divide both sides by 10, this 0 drop out and this 0 drops out. Let's divide both sides by 25. Why 25? Because we know 75 is divisible by 25. There are 3 25s in a 75. And we also know that 900 is also divisible by 25, or for that matter, any multiple of 100 can be divided by 25 evenly. Why? Because we know that there are 4 25s in 100. If there are 4 25s in 100, in 900 there's going to be 9 times as many. 9 times 4 is 36. So if you divide both sides by 25, this 75 becomes 3, and this 900 is going to become 36. Let's divide both sides by 3. If you divide both sides by 3, 36 becomes 12. And the answer is, here we have a 6. 6 times 12, which is 72. And that's our x. Because you see on this side, we are left with nothing but x. So x equals 72. So that was more of a conventional way, more of a traditional way. This is number 11, shall we? Number 11. The very last one on the page. We are given some values of t, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And we are told that the value of the function g at these values of t's are 4, 2, 0, and -2. The table above gives us the values of the linear function g for the selected value of t, as we can clearly see. Which of the following defines g? So they're giving us 5 functions, and our job is to recognize one function that applies to these values. We are looking for one function where these values will satisfy that function. Let's do it. The easiest and the simplest way to deal with a problem such as this one is to look for, initially, first of all, look for the intercept, the x-intercept and the y-intercept. For example, here, if you were to put it on the graph here, this will be the t, this is the independent variable, and this is the value of the function. The name that they're giving to the function is g. This is the name of the function. Name of the function. They're calling it g. And that, of course, is the value of the y. Ask yourself, where is this function that we're looking for, where is it going to cross y-axis? Where is it going to cross y-axis? Well, it crosses y-axis when t is 0. Here's your t. So when t is 0, it crosses y-axis somewhere along here. As we can see, when t is 0, where is t? Right here. When t is 0, y is 2. That's our y-intercept. So let's first look at that. My gut feeling is that perhaps we'll be able to knock out 1 or 2 answer choices just by looking at that. So let's do that. Remember, when t is 0, y has to be 2. A says 1/2 t plus 1. Now when t is 0, 1/2 times 0 is going to be 0. But then 0 plus 1 is 1. As we can see, when t is 0, y is 2. Y has to be 2. The value of the function has to be 2. This is 1. This is no good. B says negative 1/2 t. Same thing, negative 1/2. I'm missing something. This was a positive 1/2. Not that it matters. Whether it's a positive 1/2 or a negative 1/2, it's not going to change anything. Because when t is 0, that's the whole point. That's why we look for the intercept, because it's easier to look for it, because one of the coordinates is 0. First we're going to look for x, and you can look for the x-intercept first, or you can look for the y-intercept first. It doesn't really matter. Look for the two intercepts, and you will see that 4 out of 5 answer choices will drop out, and you will be left with only the winner. So when t is 0, again this one says the value of the function is 1, that's not equal to 2. We are looking for 2. C says negative t plus 1. Negative t plus 1. Again, when t is 0, the value of the function is 1. Value of the function has to be 2. When t is 0, y has to be 2. This is no good. C is no good. The answer is either D or E. The answer is either D or E. Let's look at D. D says g of t equals negative t plus 2. Well, let's take a look at it, shall we? When t is 0, 0 plus 2 is 2. So it does satisfy the y-intercept. It does satisfy the y-intercept. Now let's see if it satisfies x-intercept. X-intercept is where the function cuts the x-axis, which is where y is equal to 0, which is this guy right here. Y is equal to 0 when x is 1. Y is equal to 0 when x is 1. When x is 1. Let's find out if it satisfies. Let's find out if it satisfies that condition. So here is our function. G of t equals negative t plus 2. Now, if we set this equation equal to 0, negative t plus 2, t equals 2. This says t equals 2. T does not equal 2. T equals 1 at that point. When y is equal to 0, according to the values that is given to us, t equals 1, not 2. D is not the answer. D works with the x-coordinate, D works with the y-intercept, D works with the y-intercept, but the x-intercept, it does not work. X-intercept has to be 1 and 0. This one gives us 0 and 2, or rather 2 and 0. This one tells us it is 2 and 0. It's supposed to be 1 and 0. D is not the answer. The correct answer is E. Correct answer is E. And we can clearly see it. We can quickly see it that it is in fact E, because in E we are told it is negative 2t plus 2. Negative 2t plus 2. When t is equal to 0, y is equal to 2. As we can see, when t is equal to 0, y is equal to 2. So that works. Y-intercept works. And then it says when t is equal to 1, negative 2 times 1. When t is equal to 1, y has to be 0. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus positive 2 is going to be a big fat 0, which is exactly what we need here. When t is equal to 1, y is 0. Answer is E. Answer is E. I will see you tomorrow, okay? Bye now.